or permanently boost your energy.
The steps to fix it are actually pretty easy.
Now, DailyMail.com, the world's most read newspaper website, brings you DailyMailTV.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the show. We are very glad to have you with us today for our roundup of some of the most riveting true crime cases now streaming. And we begin with the horrific tale of 6 adopted children driven over a cliff by their moms in a horrific murder-suicide that gripped the nation. While Jen and Sarah Hart really appeared to be these picture-perfect parents on social media, the moms had been reportedly beating and starving their children behind closed doors for years and appeared to be on the run with the kids when Jen Hart plunged all of them to their untimely deaths. Today, DailyMailTV is investigating a story that still has so many unanswered questions.
They were just like leading the way, like, this is how you live.
On social media, same-sex couple Jen and Sarah Hart appeared to be giving their 6 adopted children a life filled with love, happiness, and purpose. But in reality, reports of the Harts beating and starving their children spanned nearly 10 years and were filed in 3 states before Jen Hart drove all 8 family members off of a cliff in a shocking 2018 murder-suicide.
What we know about family annihilators is that sometimes there are cycles where the person feels extremely in need of control.
Forensic neuropsychologist Dr. Judy Ho weighs in.
They may entertain thoughts like, if I can't have the children, no one can.
Okay, and what was the reason why you were checking on that? Concerns that the children aren't being fed.
Now, Discovery Plus's Broken Hearts is unraveling an investigation that exposed allegations of abuse and how the Hart mothers covered their tracks.
The real threats to their safety was something that was dismissed because, as Minnesota child welfare people said, the problem is these women look normal. And by normal, what they meant was white.
Investigative reporter Zarin Burnett explains how the Hart mothers duped friends, social media followers, and the system by exploiting a positive image of their mixed-race family.
The Harts were masterful influencers, but using a racial context as their content. Like all good con artists, they recognize that most people don't have time to investigate past the surface.
The children were often malnourished. They looked way younger than their actual age.
By 2011, Sarah Hart pleaded guilty to misdemeanor domestic violence after Abigail, covered in bruises, reportedly told a teacher her mother gave her an owie. Soon after, the Harts pulled their children out of school and eventually relocated from Minnesota to Oregon in 2013, where more allegations of abuse and food deprivation were reported.
Nobody takes it seriously. 2 white women say, no, it's okay, don't believe our black children. We adopted them, we're good people. And that's all they needed to say.
During this time, the Harts posted this viral photo of Devontae tearfully hugging a Portland police officer at a protest, now a powerful reminder of his suffering.
He's crying knowing that he's not even safe in his own home and that no authority has ever been able to protect him, no matter how many times he and his siblings have asked for help.
In 2017, after relocating to Washington State, Hannah reportedly jumped from a second-floor window at 1:30 a.m. and begged neighbors to rescue her.
We know that Devontae Hart went over to that house 9 times asking for food.
On March 23, 2018, neighbors contacted authorities. That same day, the Harts fled south toward California.
And by March 25th, Jen has driven them off the cliff and into the Pacific.
This was an absolutely premeditated plan. Both of them had been researching ways to essentially kill people off.
A 2019 coroner's inquest determined Jennifer and Sarah Hart died by suicide and their children homicide.
I would hope that people stay outraged about what happened to the Hart children, both for the sake of what we lost in their lives and for all the lives that are going to lose because we do not face this issue.
Now, all 8 family members, they have been legally declared dead in this horrific case. However, the remains of Devontae Hart have not yet been found. We turn our attention now to the tragic case of a mother's fight for justice when college sophomore Praveen Varugis was found dead on the side of a road following an off-campus party. Police initially determined that death accidental, but his heartbroken mom, she just didn't buy it. And today, his mother, Lovely, is sitting down with DailyMailTV and discussing her relentless battle to bring his alleged killer to justice.
Praveen was a great son. and a great friend.
In February of 2014, Southern Illinois University student Praveen Varghese vanished after leaving a party. 5 days later, Praveen's frozen body was found in a wooded area just a few miles away from his campus.
We will not stop until the whole truth is out.
Now, Discovery Plus's Who Killed My Son is examining Praveen's mysterious death and his mother Lovely's hunt for the truth.
We are not going back without knowing what happened to our son.
Investigators initially told Lovely her son had been drinking when he got a ride with a recent acquaintance, Gage Bethune.
As soon as I heard that, it did not match Praveen's character.
During police questioning, Bethune claimed he pulled over when the two got into a dispute, and Praveen ran off into the woods.
Scared from life. Definitely wasn't my race. I'm not used to being around that type of population.
As soon as he started saying that, I knew where he was going. They just let him talk.
A state trooper approached Bethune's vehicle the night of the incident and is seen doing a quick cursory check with his flashlight.
If he had done a little bit more, my son would be here today.
An initial autopsy revealed Praveen died from hypothermia after allegedly losing his way in the woods. But after viewing her son's body, Lovely was not convinced.
I could see the bruise on his forehead. I knew somebody beat my kid.
Lovely, are you on the phone?
Broadcaster and victim advocate Monica Zukas helped shine a light on this case.
Lovely from the beginning said, I just want a thorough investigation and answers. What happened?
Led by the notorious El Chapo.
It was just an overwhelming looking crime scene.
In November of 2003, Burbank police officers Matthew Pavelka and Gregory Campbell approached a suspicious SUV in the parking lot of a Ramada Inn. At that point, David Garcia and alleged accomplice Ramon Aranda, members of a local violent street gang known as the Violent Boys, opened fire on the young cop and his partner. The fierce shootout left both Pavelka and Aranda dead. Campbell was critically wounded. Garcia managed to flee.
So we knew the name Violent Boys, but at that point what I remember is that it was kind of a low-level gang.
Now, Discovery Plus's American Cartel dives into the massive manhunt for Garcia. It involved multiple agencies, including LAPD's Major Crimes Division team, with members led by retired LAPD Lieutenant Adam Bercovici.
I had personnel from both the Violent Crime Task Force of Los Angeles and Counterterrorism assigned to me. So I had a lot of resources. We all kept our eye focused on the mission, which was to bring a cop killer to justice.
While the police quickly tied the suspects to the Violent Boys, evidence at the crime scene suggested the gunmen were part of a far more sophisticated operation.
When the meth was found, it was from high-grade lab quality. It wasn't cut, wasn't mixed with anything else.
The Mexican cartels were already deeply entrenched in the United States.
Police tracking Garcia quickly learned he'd escaped into Mexico, reportedly with help of high-level gang affiliates with alleged ties to the powerful Sinaloa cartel.
Sandoval, he was the one that got Garcia taken that night across the border into Mexico.
Mariana Meza was married to the sister of Luis Sandoval.
There was a photo for a wedding. So that tells you the personal connection between the gang and the Sinaloa cartels.
Consider the gravity of that realization that the Violent Boys were connected with the Chapo Guzman organization.
Less than 2 weeks after Matthew Pavelka's cold-blooded murder, David Garcia was captured by Mexican police and turned over to U.S. Marshals.
Matt Pavelka's handcuffs were put on him, and they stayed on him until we got him into the jail at Burbank Police Department.
With Garcia behind bars and awaiting trial, then LAPD Chief William Bratton vowed to bring down the Violent Boys gang.
For the next 18 months afterwards, my unit was constantly called in to take down these guys. They were some very bad dudes with a lot of guns when we took them into custody.
Operation Silent Night reportedly led to the indictment of 43 members in 2005. And by then, police already made 231 arrests, impounded 25 cars, seized 75 guns, 300 pounds of narcotics, and more than $1 million in cash as part of the gang sweep. Nearly a decade later, in 2012, long-awaited justice was served when Garcia pleaded guilty to murder and attempted murder and was sentenced to life without parole.
There was a collective decision that life without parole was the most fitting for this cop killer because he would never get out of jail.
And we have just scratched the surface of this case. For a much deeper dive, be sure to check out American Cartel. It is streaming now on Discovery Plus. And that is where you can also catch Broken Hearts and Who Killed My Son. Now, there is much more Daily Mail TV ahead for you, so please stay right there. Stay with us.
Later, can this doctor permanently boost your energy?
The steps to fix it are actually pretty easy.
And up next, jaw-dropping transformations where you won't even recognize the final results, plus making
picks. So our first artist here uses two very important tools, fluffy wool and barbed needles, to make her magical animal sculptures all come to life. So each animal takes a lot of time and precision to get it just right. So look at how cute the rabbit is here. And don't you just want to hug him? She even creates full sculptures of your furry friends, too. I would love to have one. Now, time to dust off the old furniture because our next artist challenges himself to renovate a mid-century cabinet that was only falling apart. What is unique about his restoration, though, is that he uses all the main parts of the cabinet, the original pieces, the legs, the storage area. Well, he adds in some new paint, and this artist has to include his own very personal touch. And the artist chooses to add some hexagons to the drawer, you know, modernize it a bit. But what a difference a little paint and some new parts make. It's brand new. And it's time to call the doctors because the self-proclaimed pavement surgeon is turning potholes into something beautiful to help brighten people's days. But you definitely need a PhD to make these sidewalks look as beautiful as he does. I mean, that's an absolute work of art. How fun would that be to stumble upon those? And those are just the picks for today. Stay with us. Much more Daily Mail TV is headed your way.
Coming up,
people have come to believe that having fatigue.
Docs, that's the intriguing title of Dr. Stephen Gundry's book, which tackles the question of chronic low energy, or as he puts it, why our get up and go has got up and gone. Now today, Dr. Gundry reveals why what so many of us do to improve our pep often actually depletes it, and what we can do to actually turn the tide.
People have come to believe that having fatigue is par for the course. And in fact, that's absolutely not the case. It is abnormal to have fatigue and be tired.
Dr. Gundry says fatigue has reached epidemic proportions around the world. So why so many tired people? One of the reasons is chronic inflammation associated with many diseases.
Inflammation that's chronic can be traced to actually leaky gut.
Leaky gut occurs when cracks or holes develop in the lining of the intestines, allowing food particles, toxic waste, and bacteria to leak through and enter the bloodstream, causing inflammation.
Inflammation needs lots of energy to be produced. And when we're feeding the fire of inflammation, that our troops, our immune system, actually eats most of the energy in our body. And so we're actually rationing energy to the rest of our body because we're in a war.
Often the foods we eat for fuel also act against us. Organelles in our cells, known as mitochondria, turn the proteins, fats, and carbohydrates that we eat into energy. When we eat too many highly processed foods, these nutrients get instantly absorbed. They jam up the mitochondria and prevent them from doing their job.
16 hours a day, the average American is eating something. And so we have literally rush hour. And then we only have 8 hours to kind of clear out the traffic before everything starts again.
When nutrients are given time to break down individually, mitochondria do their job efficiently and produce the energy we need. For that to happen, Dr. Gundry suggests eating more of a whole foods-based diet and practicing intermittent fasting, which restricts eating to a limited number of hours each day. This two-pronged approach can help with leaky gut and strengthen mitochondria.
Mitochondria have to have rest periods. The longer you can give them with minimal work in terms of eating, the more they repair themselves. If we can get people to limit their eating periods to about 6 hours a day, the more energy their mitochondria end up producing.
Dr. Gundry says other foods like yogurt and sauerkraut are fermented by live bacteria and contain postbiotics. Those postbiotics produce intestinal gases, which also aid in producing energy. So,
do not be embarrassed. Be prepared to let it rip, because the gas production actually tells your mitochondria to produce more energy. Fascinating.
Moral of the story?
Fatigue is not your fate. The steps to fix it are actually pretty easy.
You can find those easy steps in The Energy Paradox, available wherever books are sold. And you can also follow Dr. Stephen Gundry on social media. Now, there is much more Daily Mail TV ahead for you, including a guy reaching some new heights with his insane jumping skills. It's next in our last piece of mail.
Closed caption.
Mail and a guy reaching new heights. This is Damoy Ennis, and his jumping skills are absolutely unreal. Look at this guy. And it seems like the talented athlete can clear just about any old object, including cars and even other people for that matter. In his most popular video yet, Ennis leaps over a bucket of water, quickly dipping his toes in along the way.